Hi, my name is Jim Gibson, and thank you for watching this video. I do appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about COVID, virus that's out there now. We're going to be talking about how it affects you and how it affects your children and education and all. And we can have a major discussion on this. I mean, this could last a long time. All the nonsense that's going on at the schools. Right now, LA has said that they will not go back to school until we defund the police. And I'm thinking, what does that have anything to do with education? Except these people are the ones that are educating your children. And that's their attitude about police. That is unacceptable. But that's one of their requirements. Until the LA city defunds the police, the teachers up in LA are not going to go back to school according to the union. So what are some of the alternatives? You know, this might be a great opportunity. You know, you've been home with your kids all this time, excuse me, all this time, and you know something? Maybe you should start considering some alternative ways to educate your children. Now, who's responsible for educating your children? You are. You're the parents. You're responsible for educating your children, not a school system, not the government or anything else. And so this is an opportunity for you to try something new. And I would say the thing you need to try new is possibly, maybe private school, maybe homeschooling, things like that. You know, I know that once I was having problems with the school system, the Vista Unified School System, my kids were there and they were getting nonsense stuff about history. I remember the one thing was about the Second World War, and I asked my one son, tell me about what you learned in the Second World War. And I'm just going to truncate this because this is just an example of the other things that my son told me. But he said, Dad, learned all about the Japanese, and they're peaceful people that have gardens and everything else. And I said, well, what else did you learn besides that? And he said, well, I learned that we're the only country that ever dropped an atomic bomb on humans. And I said, and that's what they taught you? They didn't teach you about Pearl Harbor, about the other stresses that went on during that time? The fact that there was a sneak attack, the fact that we were at war, and these things were justified based on that? And of course, my son said, no, I didn't know any of that other stuff. And so I decided that what I would do is I would spend the summer teaching all four of my kids 20th century American history. I would talk about each president. I would talk about each situation that was going on, each decade, and I would talk about the good and the bad and the things that should not have taken place, but I also talked about how great we are and what this great country we live in. You know, come on, man. I'm a Marine. I'm a Marine captain. I'm going to be teaching my kids about how wonderful it is to live in a free enterprise. So think this thing through, Maybe you never thought about sending your kids to a private school. Maybe now's the time to start investigating. They're your kids. How do you want them to grow up? How do you want them to succeed in life? You got to know how to read. You got to know how to write. You got to know math and science, serious science, good science. And you got to know these things to get ahead in life. Even if you don't go to college, you really need to learn these things to function in our culture. You can't be an idiot, okay? You got to learn these things and be able to answer basic questions, and even history, true history of what actually happened in this world. So, there's a lot of private schools in your area. Maybe you should check them out. Maybe you can afford them. Maybe you can't. I don't know. But the other thing is how about homeschooling? When you look at the statistics concerning public school, private school, charter school, and homeschooling, homeschoolers do better on standardized tests than all the others. They're fantastic. And homeschoolers, now, of course, some people are going to say, well, some homeschoolers are this way or that way. I'm not talking about these parents that want to do free range education for their children. You just go out and learn on your own, kid, and you let us know if you have any questions. No, I'm talking about professionally done homeschool. The studies there, the materials are out there. There's a lot of really good materials. And later on, I'm going to talk to you about someone who's doing it right. In fact, I'm going to put her link to her website, how she's educating her four boys And she started this a couple years ago, and her struggles and her successes, a lot of good successes. But by far, homeschoolers do better than anybody else. Now, the next on the list is private school. Private school does fantastic. A lot of them. There's some of them that are like, they're in it for the money, or they're, flim-flams or things like that. And as a parent, you got to figure that out. That, your kids, and you only have a short time with the kids, by the way. It seems like a long time when you're in the middle of this stuff, but you only have 18 years to educate your children, and you want them to have a well-rounded education based on facts. You want to read, write, math, science, and solid history. And there's a lot of really good, private schools. And then you also have charter schools. So charter schools is the next. Private schools, probably better. Charter schools, pretty close, if not exact. Now, charter schools are public schools, at least in California. I don't know in other states. But in California, charter schools are public schools. They're funded by the state. Now, the reason why the teachers union is so offended about these other options is because charter schools, the teachers, generally speaking, there are some exceptions, but generally speaking, the teachers in charter schools are not union members. So they're not paying union dues. Now, my teachers at VUSD were paying over $1,000 a teacher per year. And the ones I spoke to, most of the teachers did not agree with the political viewpoint of their union. So $1,000 they had to pay per year. And I'm gonna have a video on that later. But the bottom line is here that the best education is homeschool. The second, really good, solid education is going to be in private school and in charter schools. I guarantee you this, that if they made a law that charter school teachers had to be unionized, then there would be no problem. The teachers union would love them, and it would be perfect, and it would be great, and everything else. But the law in California is that they are free to unionize and are free not to unionize. They don't have to follow some of the silly stuff you find in the education code. So do they produce quality students? Absolutely. Are there failures out there? Absolutely. But there's also failures, major failures in the standard public schools that are out there today. Things that are unbelievable. And I'll have a video on that too. There's another video coming up on that and talking about education and talking about some failures in public school. But the bottom line is, you're the parent. You're the person that's ultimately responsible to ensure that your children are educated properly. So thank you for watching this. Again, look at the link that I include down in the description, and check out that link. Check out that website about homeschooling, and I think that you'll see that it's doable. It's possible. One last thing. Most of America before like 50, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, was homeschooled, and we did a really good job. Our literacy rate was a lot higher than what it is today. So, consider it. It's a really good way to go. There is a system out there that keeps you on track. Man, it's just quality stuff. Homeschoolers. Now, again, there's always that exception. There's some wacko that wants to do some sort of, free range education. They're lazy. That's what that is. And no, I don't think that's a great idea. And the same thing with private schools. There's some out there that are just crazy. And I don't know why people would even put their kids there. In fact, they were giving it away for free. I wouldn't even send my kids to places like that. But there's quality private schools, there's quality homeschools, and there's also quality charter schools. Check out the description of the homeschooling that's going on in America today. Thank you for watching. You have a great day.